Have you ever watched someone powerful stand completely alone while everyone else looked away? Sometimes, it isn't strength, money, or status that changes a person's fate. Sometimes, all it takes is one ordinary person with a kind heart who refuses to stay silent. What happened inside an elegant restaurant one unforgettable evening proved that true courage doesn't always wear an expensive suit. Sometimes, it sits quietly at table 12, waiting for the right moment to stand up. Tonight's story is about fear, compassion, and the incredible power of kindness. Stay with me until the very end because this story might change the way you look at the strangers sitting around you every single day. Before we begin, if you enjoy heartwarming stories that restore your faith in humanity, don't forget to subscribe to Bekindleways, give this video a like, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and what kindness means to you. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that inspire people around the world. The restaurant overlooked the sparkling lights of downtown Chicago. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, soft piano music floated through the room, and every table was filled with people celebrating deals, anniversaries, and family milestones. At a corner table near the windows sat Victoria Harper, the CEO of one of the city's fastest-growing technology companies. To the outside world, she appeared confident and successful. But tonight, the nervous look in her eyes told a different story. 3 men in expensive suits surrounded her table. Their voices remained calm enough that no one wanted to interfere, but their expressions carried unmistakable pressure. A thick folder lay open in front of Victoria. "Just sign it," one of the men whispered. She slowly shook her head. "I won't." The second man leaned closer. "You know what happens if you don't." Victoria swallowed hard, but she still refused to reach for the pen. Across the restaurant, at table 12, sat Daniel Brooks. Daniel wasn't rich. He wasn't famous. He was simply a hardworking single father who had brought his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, out for dinner after she received perfect grades at school. For months, Daniel had worked extra shifts as a maintenance technician just to afford this special evening. Lily noticed Victoria's worried face. "Dad," she whispered, "that lady looks scared." Daniel glanced over for only a second before looking away. "It's probably business, sweetheart." But Lily kept watching. "They don't look nice." Daniel tried to ignore it. He had learned long ago that stepping into other people's problems could create trouble you never expected. Still, something about Victoria's eyes reminded him of his late wife during her hardest days. Fear has a look you never forget. As the conversation grew more intense, nearby diners quietly looked away. Some pretended to check their phones. Others suddenly became very interested in their meals. Nobody wanted to become involved. Victoria pushed the folder back. "I'm not signing away my employees' futures." One of the men smiled coldly. "You don't really have a choice." Daniel heard those words clearly. His hands tightened around his coffee mug. Lily gently touched his arm. "Dad, someone should help her." Daniel looked at his daughter. She wasn't afraid. She simply believed helping people was the right thing to do. Sometimes children remind adults who they used to be. Daniel slowly stood up. Every step toward Victoria's table felt heavier than the last. His heart pounded so loudly he wondered if everyone could hear it. He stopped beside the table. "Excuse me," he said politely. The 3 men turned toward him with irritated expressions. "This doesn't concern you." Daniel nodded calmly. "Maybe not. But she looks uncomfortable, and everyone deserves the chance to say no without being intimidated." The room became completely silent. One man laughed. "And who exactly are you?" Daniel smiled softly. "Just a dad having dinner with his little girl." The men expected him to back down. Instead, Daniel pulled out his phone. "I've already called restaurant security." The men glanced around. Sure enough, Two security guards were already walking quickly across the dining room after noticing the unusual situation. Victoria finally exhaled. For the first time all evening, someone had broken through her fear. The three men collected their papers. "This isn't over," one of them muttered before leaving. The guards escorted them outside. The restaurant slowly returned to normal. Victoria sat quietly for a moment before tears filled her eyes. "You didn't even know me," she said. Daniel shrugged. "I didn't need to." Lily walked over carrying the dessert the waiter had just served. She smiled shyly. "My dad says kindness costs nothing." Victoria couldn't stop crying. For months she had fought pressure from investors who wanted her to sell the company and lay off hundreds of loyal employees. She had almost given up. Not because she agreed. Because she felt completely alone. Daniel's simple act reminded her that good people still existed. The restaurant manager approached. "Your dinner is on the house tonight." Daniel smiled. "That's very kind, but we'd rather pay." The manager insisted. "No, sir. Tonight you reminded every person in this room what courage looks like." Several diners began clapping. One couple stood. Then another. Soon the entire restaurant rose to its feet. Not because Daniel had fought anyone. Not because he was wealthy. Because he chose kindness when everyone else chose silence. A week later, Daniel returned to work expecting another ordinary day. Instead, his supervisor called him into the office. Victoria Harper was waiting. She had spent days searching for the man from table 12. "I owe you more than a thank you," she said. Daniel smiled. "You don't owe me anything." Victoria shook her head. "You reminded me why I built my company in the first place." She explained that after refusing the deal, she found ethical investors willing to protect every employee's job. Her company survived. Hundreds of families kept their livelihoods. Then she surprised Daniel. She had learned he often struggled to balance work and caring for Lily. Her company needed someone to oversee facilities management. The position came with better pay, flexible hours, health insurance, and enough stability for Daniel to spend evenings with his daughter. Daniel accepted with tears in his eyes. Months later, Lily asked her father a question while they walked through a neighborhood park. "Dad, do you think we changed that lady's life?" Daniel smiled. "I think we all changed each other's lives." Lily nodded thoughtfully. "I hope if someone is scared again, another person stands up too." Daniel squeezed her hand. "So do I." The truth is, kindness doesn't always make headlines. It doesn't always receive applause. Sometimes it's as simple as noticing someone who feels alone. Sometimes it's speaking one sentence when everyone else stays quiet. Sometimes it's believing that another person's pain matters just as much as your own. That evening at table 12 wasn't remembered because of business contracts or expensive dinners. It was remembered because one ordinary father listened to his daughter's compassionate heart and chose courage over comfort. And that single act of kindness created a ripple that reached hundreds of families, proving that even the smallest act of compassion can change lives in ways we'll never fully understand. As you go through your own day, remember this: you never know who is waiting for someone to stand beside them. Be the person who notices. Be the person who cares. Be the person who chooses kindness even when it's difficult. Because the world changes one compassionate heart at a time, and your kindness may become the miracle someone else has been praying for. Until next time, keep spreading kindness wherever you go, because even the smallest act of love can leave the biggest mark on someone's life.